Okay, hi everybody. My name is Valerie McGuire and I'm the peer recovery educator for CHO7 that we cover Dublin, South Central, Kildare and West Wicklow. And you're very welcome along to our webinar on recovery education in our own words. I'm joined by my team here today of Robert Barry, James McAvoy, Daniela Monza and Elaine O'Keefe. And yes, today we'd like to share with you our thoughts on recovery education in our own words. What we're going to cover today is what recovery education is and what it is not, why it is different from other types of education, how it has helped us on our own recovery journeys, as well as how it can support you in managing your well-being. Also, give you a feel for what you can expect from our workshops. So what is recovery education? Here's one definition. Recovery education is a process where individuals explore, understand, and create knowledge required for recovery in their own lives and the lives of others. So it's about, I suppose, supporting people in their own recovery. So it's education and the means by which the particular type of education we use to support people in managing their recovery. So our work really supports recovery, and here's a definition that we use for recovery. It's a deeply personal, unique process and a way of living a satisfying, hopeful, and contributing life, even with limitations caused by illness. Recovery is also an ongoing journey with no endpoint destination. And recovery involves the development of new meaning and purpose in one's life.
And for me, I suppose recovery is a bit like a phoenix rising from the ashes. It means taking little steps in the beginning, doing simple things that you enjoy and that support you in your recovery. You don't have to have all the answers to what you want to do or where you want to be. Before that, it's all about just doing little things, reconnecting with yourself and figuring out what makes you happy. Also, maybe what makes you scared and what you fear, because understanding that can help you to own it and to come to terms with it. We can often feel shame around our struggles, and it's likely though that all of us are on our own personal recovery journey, and accepting the struggles can make it easier maybe to share them so that we don't feel so alone. And yes, there will be ups and downs on our journey, but if we look back, we can see how far we have come and that all is not lost. We just look at how recovery education is different. So one of the ways that it's different is that people can access courses that are relevant to them. If we look at this woman here who's feeling overwhelmed and isolated at the moment, that there's courses out there that will directly support her in that. And if we think of managing your mental health during COVID, you know, it's a way that she can access a course to support her in feeling isolated at the moment. And really that we try and run courses that are relevant to people, and we're keen to find out from people, you know, what courses they might like to see so that we can really meet the needs of people who want to do the workshops. And so the next slide here you'll see is about, you know, how you might take your tea. And I think it's just to look at, you know, if you think about how you take your tea, different people like their tea different ways. It might be milky, it might be with sugar, you mightn't like tea at all. And it's just a case of thinking that not one size fits all. And, you know, we often learn the hard way. I know I do, making tea for other people, when someone doesn't drink it at all, that it's not, you know, each of us have different needs and different interests, different things that work for us. And it's similar to mental health. And I know on my mental health journey, when I was doing things that maybe experts thought might be good for me, and kind of going along that route, but then realizing that actually things aren't improving here, and thinking maybe there's something wrong with me, and not feeling like a failure as a result. But really, it just wasn't the right fit, and I had to try different things and to discover different things, and really to discover what was right for me. That different things, it's not a one size fits all approach.
So there are two different models of education. First, there's the teacher-centered learning model, pedagogy, and then there's the student-centered learning model, andragogy, or recovery education model. So when I went to university and I was studying poetry, it was directed by an expert. It was a one-way process. It was very much teacher-centered learning. However, when I became a facilitator with Mental Health Ireland, I adopted a more inclusive approach, trying to create an environment where everyone could participate and actively contribute in the recovery education model. So a key part of recovery education is how we learn from each other's recovery stories. Recovery stories are very inspiring and keep hope alive by showing that recovery really is possible. So together, the group work to create an inclusive and safe place where people at any stage of mental health recovery, as well as their supporters and professionals, can attend and feel welcomed and heard. Confidentiality, respect for everyone's opinions and experiences, and kindness are fundamental principles of our work. Co-production. Our service is co-produced, which means that service users, family members, and service providers become active participants and equal partners at all levels of our services design and delivery. Our workshops are co-created and co-facilitated by experts by experience, i.e. people with lived experience of having mental health difficulties and their supporters. Also, expert by profession, i.e. mental health professionals or subject experts, all of us working together.
So here we can see two people that are observing or watching the same thing, and they see it from two different points of view and they see something different. So learning from different people's experience, different people's perspectives is what is about recovery education. So just because you are right does not mean I'm wrong. You just haven't seen life from my side. So people with lived experience of mental health difficulties, their supporters or family members, professionals, and other members of the community all have different experiences, different opinions, different views about recovery, and they can all learn from sharing these different perspectives with one another. Also, our workshops stimulate critical thinking. They challenge assumptions that are often taken for granted. On the very concept of recovery, for example, there are different definitions that are used in different contexts in the mental health services. Clinical recovery, where the person is symptom-free for a certain period of time, is not the same as personal recovery, where the person is able to manage their difficulties effectively and have achieved a satisfactory life of their own choice. So both definitions are valid, but any one of us can challenge them and come up with their own unique, perfectly valid definition of recovery. So now we are going to see what recovery education is not. For example, our workshops are educational, but are not purely peer support. There is a peer support element in all the sessions, but it is not the main focus of them. And also, recovery education is a useful tool and can actively support your recovery, but is not intended to be a substitute for therapy. It's not therapy.
Who is recovery education for? Recovery education is for everyone over the age of 18. Whether you have mental health difficulties or are a supporter of someone suffering with mental health difficulties, mental health professionals, or just someone with an interest in well-being and mental health, everyone is welcome at our workshops. So just like this old lady on her motorbike, you're never too old to learn something new. There's no need to have any previous qualifications to attend any of our workshops. How has recovery education helped us? We are now going to play a video of short stories of our recovery education.
Okay, so we're going to chat today about how recovery education helped us. And I suppose just talking about that myself, I suppose one of the things that recovery education did for me was it really helped me kind of understand myself. That I felt like, you know, I got to know myself on what worked for me and what didn't work for me. And I found that really helped me, you know, in my recovery, because, you know, before that I was trying to please everyone else and I was trying to kind of be all things to all people. But, you know, through recovery education, I figured out who I was and kind of what worked for me and what didn't work for me in looking after my well-being. So does that resonate with anyone?
Well, to me, recovery education has also been very helpful to understand myself and my difficulties, because with all the mental health issues I had also very great barriers to access the support of every kind. So the only chance I really had was to understand myself and to find by myself the coping strategies I needed. And so recovery education has been the primary element I used to get to a point of well-being.
Great. Thanks, Daniela.
For me, it was when I realised through recovery and through attending different types of workshops, for me it was realising that it was only me that could take back control of my life. And like that was hard to accept, that it was personal responsibility. But when I did finally come to terms with that, that's when my recovery really started, because I knew I had to do this and it was down to me which road I took. Technically, if I went down the road of just being unwell and sitting at home and anxiety building up, or if I went down the other road of trying to educate myself, which is what I did. And that's what led me into this journey at the moment, into what I'm doing at the moment.
For me, recovery education brought hope into my life and gave me a reality check, find out what's important in my life. And I think it's connecting with other people, as well as connecting with myself and bonding with family and friends. And just overall, just having a better understanding of the journey that I'm on.
Yeah, for me, recovery was all about taking control, like a certain amount of control back, and taking responsibility for my own recovery. And that came, like, it took a while for me to kind of build up the confidence and start to say, well, actually this works for me and I don't think that works for me. And to also kind of recognize that, like, you probably kind of lose yourself to a big extent during like difficulties and mental health difficulties, and being able to kind of say, well, actually this, I don't think, I'm not enjoying this, it's not really working for me. And being able to say that and try something else, and to try and figure out and realize that it's okay to say that you kind of know what's best for you. It's good to have advice and support from experts, but also it's good to be able to know what works for you and what doesn't. And I think that was for me, being able to say that, and being able to build up that confidence within yourself and then apply that to other things in your life.
Yeah, absolutely. And it resonates with me as well, what you're saying about, you know, the learning to speak up for yourself too, you know, getting to, you know, but that's been a big part of my journey of recovery, actually realizing that the solutions that were being given to me, like a bit like what you said there, Rob, that they weren't always what I actually needed. And that I had to actually figure out what I actually wanted and advocate for myself to get what I wanted and needed, especially after being unwell. You know, I found myself in a situation where I needed to sort out my housing situation, you know, because it wasn't suiting me where I was living, and actually going out and getting an alternative place sorted out for myself. You know, like recovery education really helped me to kind of figure out what I needed, and to support me in kind of getting my voice heard again.
I agree with what you said. To me, especially the RAP program, the Wellness Recovery Action Plan, helped a lot with the self-advocacy to really understand that in spite of being a person who is unwell, I also have rights and know how to ask for what I needed and to say things in a way that people understood. And so I could really get to what I wanted that I didn't get before because I was kind of unable to communicate. And that was something that really helped me.
Yeah. Anyone else resonate with that?
Yeah, when I think of recovery education, I think of RAP as well. How when I was feeling well, I could use the wellness tools, but when I was feeling unwell, I could also use the wellness tools to kind of regain that sense of security and feeling well in myself, and also having the daily maintenance plan and being aware of early warning signs and triggers. So recovery education in the form of RAP was instrumental in helping me on the road to recovery. So I don't know if it resonates with anyone else.
Yeah, well, I suppose, yeah, like the point of RAP or that and recovery education is kind of finding your own path in recovery. And I think that's what the workshops and sessions give us the opportunity to do, to talk and learn from each other and develop our own kind of path forward by kind of exploring different things and getting, you know, using pieces of things that other people share and saying, oh, well, that might work for me or that might not work for me. And, you know, I haven't tried that before, and just kind of doing it that way, kind of building a path forward in that way.
I think also learning from other people's experience gives you the opportunity to know how a particular tool or strategy works from the inside, because the professional might propose to you, I don't know, CBT or talk therapy or whatever, but maybe the first time you don't have a clue if they will work for you, if they want, if they are suitable. So hearing the experience of someone else that has tried different tools gives you a better idea of, you can make a better choice if you want to try it or not, knowing what to expect.
Part of my recovery, I did CBT for a couple of years, but I actually started off at 2 to 3 times a week. Just because I was at a stage where I was able to say a lot, so I only had like a few minutes 3 times a week. But to find out when I went back now, reflecting back on how unwell I was for so long, on parts of my life that I didn't realize I wasn't well for, like my wedding, probably the birth of my 3 kids, till I was very young, really, like back till I was 19. But I didn't realize that until I did talk therapy. And I think what that did for me was I found out who I was again. Like I always remember just walking down the street and laughing and going, oh my God, I haven't laughed like that since probably I was in school. Like, and that was my first going, oh my God, am I getting better? Am I recovering? Like, without realizing I was getting better. So, but I was attending workshops like now probably 3 or 4 times a week, but every one of them benefited me because I remember them all, no matter how sick I was. But yeah, for me, it was finding who I was again, and that girl that laughed and was fun, and yeah, I feel like I got that back.
The recovery education workshops being something collective in a group setting also gives the opportunity to connect with similar people with similar struggles, and so it's also not feeling the only one who has something wrong and everyone else is okay. And that's also very important to see yourself and your struggles reflected in someone else and validated by someone else's experience. That's not just the professional and you, that you are the one with the problem and the other one is the one who's well. It also, there are other people like me. I'm not alone in this journey. That's very important to me as well.
Mm. Yeah. And it's just getting to, for me, it's the getting to know myself. Do you know what I mean? Getting to know myself and actually, and learning from so much from other people. Like, you know, you said there, Elaine, as well, just like all of you said, just the kind of getting to know what has worked for others and what has worked for, you know, what might work for me, learning, you know, new tools and from other people. Because it's not always about the actual workshop, that you don't always learn from the kind of stuff that's the person even giving the workshop, Sharon. It might be from somebody who's attending, who's kind of lived it, and the power of their story and how that has actually impacted on them, that actually can be really powerful, and that can stick with you sooner than any of the stuff in the actual workshop.
Yeah, and for me, recovery education is learner-centered as opposed to conventional education, which is more content-centered. And just as you were saying, Valerie, it's all about the participants bringing to the forum their lived experience and their expertise. And we're all learning by experience rather than being taught. So this is the power of recovery education. And going forward, we can have that conversation with participants and kind of make them feel comfortable in expressing themselves and really creating an environment conducive to active participation and self-expression.
That person-centered things also resonate with me, because recovery education is all about our needs. It's not a program that someone else expects us to learn. It's that we can shape it around us and choose the modules we want, and with the kind of conversation we have during the session, we shape the content. In a sense, every session is different depending on who's attending and what they talk about during the session. So.
Absolutely, and we've talked about so many different aspects to it. That's really helpful, isn't it? Another part of it that has really helped me is to learn that my illness is only part of the picture, that I'm kind of, you know, that I'm not defined by it, you know, that there's so much more to me than just somebody who's had a mental illness, and that there's, you know, and I, you know, that I can actually have a bigger identity, and I can create an identity. I can actually create one wherever, better than one I had even before. It feels like since I've been unwell, I've got to not know myself so well that I'm actually rediscovering who I was, that I never really knew who I was beforehand. And that now I can create a kind of a really positive identity for myself, you know, that out of many different aspects, not just illness. And I suppose that's where what we do when we meet together in our sessions, we kind of normalize the whole thing. It's like, you know, I've been there too, I've suffered, I know what it's like, and you know that we're more than that. We're more than people who've had mental illness. Like we are full human beings, and we can create a full and meaningful life kind of after illness, and recovery education really supports that.
What students have said about our workshops? I went to the Surviving January workshop with Valerie and the crew, and it was fantastic. The session was very solution focused and engaged, and a very effective use of everyone's time for the sense of empowerment it brought to the people. It was actually palpable in the room.
Another one of the students said the relaxed and welcoming manner of all involved was really helpful, as well as the ideas from others and different perspectives.
Another student said, the feeling that you are not alone always helps. Plus, Valerie and the team were very friendly and gave everyone their time to express how they feel. and then others offered their ideas on what helped them.
Another student said, excellent session. I felt like I had a few more tools to help me to cope. I felt uplifted with the rich discussion and connection. Authenticity also.
Yet another student said that I thought you all did a fantastic job, considering it's so much harder to manage a group online than it would be in person. You should all feel very proud of yourselves. Keep up the great work, and we look forward to making it to more of your sessions. So, what to expect from our workshops? Well, all of our workshops are currently being provided on Zoom. We have plans to go back into the physical classroom, but only when the situation allows. But so at the present, we're using Zoom, and Zoom is actually very easy to use. And all you need is to access it is either a smartphone or a laptop or computer. And then when you do join the workshops, we give a Zoom tutorial to help you kind of navigate the sessions. Also, all of our sessions are interactive, and discussion among participants is actually highly encouraged, and your input is really valuable to us. So we'd love to hear your voice in the conversation, but there's again no pressure to talk if you don't feel comfortable. All of our sessions we try to make them as stimulating as possible for people. So we include probing questions and group exercises such as this one here for identity, which is on what are the outside influences and internal influences and what makes us up as a person. Also, we use stimulating quotes to kind of get people pondering on the subject matter, as well as various forms of different videos and media we use in our workshops. And also icebreakers, just to kind of keep the energy flowing and people engaged. So a key part of our workshops is creating a safe and confidential space where people feel safe to share their thoughts, knowledge, and expertise with each other. So we have to create an environment that facilitates, we're very keen to create an environment that facilitates connection, reflection, and learning from each other as much as from the actual course materials. Another aspect is where we always keep our group small so that people can have the opportunity to speak and share with each other.
We have honest conversations about real life struggles, where we share our vulnerabilities, where we can be really connecting.
The workshops are also an opportunity for us to learn from each other by sharing what works and what doesn't work in our recovery, and maybe just to learn other things that we mightn't have known or mightn't have tried before.
You can give voice to the ideas, knowing that they will be heard. Quiet people are actually talkative around the right people. Examples of types of courses that we will be delivering are these 5 recovery education sessions based around recovery and CHIME: connectedness, hope, identity, meaning, and empowerment. We will be having interesting conversations where we will explore what we mean by each of these terms to us, why these topics are relevant to mental health recovery and well-being, and how we can better support our recovery journey by bringing in more connectedness, hope, empowerment, meaning, and identity into our own lives. In upcoming courses, we're also going to be working on a workshop on stress and sleep.
So how can recovery education support you in managing your own mental health and well-being? Different ways, like for example, our workshops can support you in connecting better with yourself and with others. And our workshops foster a sense of hope for a better future.
Recovery education can support you in regaining a positive sense of your own identity after mental health challenges. It can also assist you in finding more meaning and purpose in your life.
And recovery education can also empower you in taking back control over your life. So thank you very much for your attention during this webinar. I just to revisit what we actually covered today. So we just discussed what recovery education is and what it is not. Also why it is different from other types of education and how it has helped us on our own recovery journeys. Also, we've discussed how it can support you in managing your well-being and what you can expect from our workshops. If you'd like to find out more about our service or to enroll in one of our workshops, you can find more information here on our website, recoveryeducationch07.wordpress.com. So thank you so much for your attention, and we hope to see you at one of our workshops soon.